Hi, friend.
Hi, friend. Are you ready
Ready for what?
to level up?
Okay, girl, let's get started. Hi, friends. Welcome to another episode of Level Up with Raman and Alysha.
Hi, everyone. Happy official last month of 2021. Happy December, everybody.
Yeah, I hope everyone's excited for this cold month for those of you that are living in Canada and are getting your Christmas trees ready if you celebrate and getting into the holiday spirit.
Yeah, definitely. The days are short and the nights feel like they start in the middle of the day. But as December comes around, it's a really good time to reflect. And I do feel like a lot of people, including us, we do use kind of December. I feel like, you know how people have that January syndrome where it's like January 1st and now they want to start trying to achieve all their goals and stuff like that. I feel like there's 50% of people that start in January, and then there's the few that are like us, December comes around and I want to evaluate how my year was, how have I been on track with my goals throughout 2021. And you know how they always say it's like the last month of the year, so make it a good one.
Yeah, I agree totally with you. I even think even if a lot of you have benefits and you're starting to use up your benefits in December, that's another way that people start to realize did I even take care of myself this year in the sense of did I get enough self-care? Did I get massages in enough? I feel like everyone's always scrambling to get massages done in December before their benefit year's up in January.
You know what's so funny? I'm so guilty of that. I was totally on the Manulife website today to check how much do I have left of my massage, and then I saw that I have one more enough for one more appointment, so I actually booked one today.
Oh my God. See,
I'm
and
one
there's
of
people. You're one of them. And I feel like a lot of people do that. And it's not just massage. I feel like people are also trying to get their naturopath, dietitian, acupuncture, chiropractors,
Mhm.
those appointments in too. And it really reassesses because the doctor or therapist is going to say to you, you weren't consistent this year. You didn't
Yeah.
practice what I taught you, or you didn't do what you were supposed to. And I feel like it always comes to stress as well. So I feel like that's another thing. If you didn't manage your stress again and you didn't have a work-life balance or anything like that, it's another reminder that going into the new year, what can you do to do better? Do you book all your appointments in the beginning of the year and stick to them for the next 4 to 5 months and then move around where you need to, but at least they're set in stone and you kind of have to commit to going to it then.
Yeah, 100%. I wonder why people forget to, especially massages, right? Like we all love massages. Like the other things I can see, they might slip away, but the massages, I mean, I know definitely when I even get a little bit of a neck ache or something like that, I'm like, oh, I need a massage. And then I get told all the time that appointments book up so fast at the end of the year because now people are trying to just basically use their insurance. You're absolutely right. But it's you didn't want to get a massage throughout the whole year?
I think there's want and can't. I'm a person
Yeah.
who usually can't. You just have too much on your plate. You have so much going on, and that's only speaking from living with family right now. I can't even
Yeah.
imagine people who have kids and have to do it on their
Yeah.
own and have to go to their jobs. You need a babysitter to watch your kid if you can't go during work hours. And it's I know friends that are like that. They have a really hard time booking the massages in because both couples want to go together, but they can't because who's going to watch your kids? And even if you get a babysitter, it's not always reliable, right? Especially
Yeah,
during the
that's true.
pandemic. So
That's
I
true.
feel like it's more so not that they don't want to. I think it's a lot about you can't do it. It's so hard to accommodate in everyone's schedule, right?
Yeah.
Um, and it becomes a little more difficult.
Yeah. So probably a good time to be if this is something I really want to continue doing, and it's like what you said, even if you have the masseuse come over to your house, it's still who's gonna watch my kids? Somebody still
That's
needs to
what
watch them. They can't self-care.
Yeah, exactly. I know we used to do that because that worked for us a little better. But even our friends that had kids, they would then put the kids to bed and then get their massages because they're at home, so they're not worried. But then you
Yeah,
have to find someone who's willing to come late at night too, right? So
that's true.
it's give or take. But I do agree with a lot of things happen in December. It also comes
Mhm.
down to you know, if you didn't shop ahead of time and then you're in stress mode, and a lot of people are shopping at the end of December, just even Black Friday deals. People are like, "Oh, I'm gonna wait till Boxing Day or Black Friday to buy that thing I need, or like the
Hmm.
TV I need, or the new fridge, or the new laundry machine, like, or a new bracelet or a new necklace or that new bag I've been wanting, right? Or boots or a winter jacket, right?" And,
Yeah.
like, that's another thing. I think it's like, "Oh, why didn't I," like, you and I have said this so many times when we're like, we work so damn hard. Why do we keep associating things with milestones and not live in the moment and just say,
Yeah.
"Hey, like, why don't I buy myself? I deserve it. I work damn hard. Like, I do so many things and I'm not doing enough for me."
Yeah, absolutely. And then especially when you're spreading those things out rather than like waiting for a big milestone. And you know what? I think you told me this once too, that like, what if you wait for the big milestone and then that thing or item is no longer available? Like, what the fuck are you going to do then? Right? Just cry about it.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, it's definitely like a good time to also see. Okay, so this is how I felt in terms of like people who want to wait for milestones. So I know I'm also a little bit like that. Like I'm like, okay, when I have a really big accomplishment or something like that, like that's when I want to reward myself. And then, obviously I slip up too because I'm like, okay, you know what? I can't wait for that reward all the time. But something I did earlier today, because now I am like kind of in that mode as well, where I'm like, okay, it's December. Like, let me go through and I've mentioned this on the past podcast before, that I usually like to make a list of goals that I want to accomplish that year. So, it was a time for me to sit down and be like, okay, like, did I, how many things have I crossed off my list? And is there something that I did not cross off my list that I can still cross off? And so I feel like that's what people do as well, right? Like December comes around and they'll be like, oh shit, I didn't do that thing I wanted to do this year, or like I didn't accomplish that, task that I wanted to do this year, or whatever the case is. And then people are like rushing to kind of get it done in December, which is like, I don't think it's a bad thing, because I still feel like, okay, it's like procrastination, right? It's like as long as you get it done, you feel good about it, rather than like, okay, the whole year went by and then I wasted December as well and I still didn't accomplish that goal. So it's always like better late than never. So I feel like that's what people go through in December. They feel like, okay, now let me try to accomplish as much as I can, and kind of thing that I wanted to accomplish this year before the new year starts. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Yeah, no, definitely. I agree with you. I think it's a good way, and that like this goes back to like probably one of our very first podcasts is like tracking your goals, right? So it
Hmm.
does go back to that. And I think it's like every month, I think it's a good way to like kind of look back and be like, okay, what did I accomplish for myself? If I wanted to save, did I put something aside? If I wanted to do like more walking this month, did I get that in? Like, I think it's like an
Hmm.
overall, right, view. And then December is like that last month of the 12 months. It's such a
Yeah.
huge reflection because it's like, fuck, what did I do? And if anyone out there is like us, we put everything on our calendars. So we kind of see
Hmm.
like everything. I was telling you that like before when we lived in the condo, we started that calendar, Ahmed and I, where
Yeah.
we would track how much walking we did and how much like drinking water we would do. So recently, like right before my trip, I actually printed out the calendars because I was like, I have to hold myself accountable when I come back to get back on track of like just being mindful of walking and getting a workout in because it's cold now. And
Hmm.
like making sure I'm drinking the 3 liters of water because during the cold, I never drink water because it's so cold. And so I printed out the calendars before I left, and when I came home, guess what was on my fucking door? The calendars I left there. So
Good.
I was like, I had no choice, right? But I see
Hmm.
November and I see December, and it's like, okay, Alicia, you have only one month to honestly make it count for the year too. You've done so well, continue doing it. And that's like such a great reflection to now like look back because I print 2 or 3 at a time, and that's what I can see. So I see the overall progress. So me and Emmett will, Emmett's got the blue highlighter, I got the red one. So we both check mark, and it's
Amazing.
like, okay, I did it or he did. And then we look at the end of the month, we're like, oh, well, you barely did it. And it's like, I did it. Like right now, I want to buy new running shoes and they're like $200. But like I'm someone who doesn't buy running shoes all the time. So it's like I'd rather invest and put the good money in to get the ones I really want. But I was
Hmm.
like, I want to know that I'm gonna continue doing it to know that I deserve the shoes kind of thing. You know what I mean? Because that's
I
a
love
lot to
that.
drop on running shoes. But I was
Yeah.
like, they're supposed to be amazing. Like, they're really good for you, and I need foot support. So, like, that's my thing. I'm like, if I continue for November, December, then on Boxing Day, I will buy them for myself.
I love that. I love that for so many reasons because without tracking, like how can you reflect, right? Like how can you
Exactly.
know? So I love that A, you're justifying like, okay, if I'm going to buy these shoes, I want to make sure that I am actually doing the walking. So I love that. And then yeah, like just the tracking is A, making you reflect on like also on improvement, right? So it's like, okay, I have been walking, or I feel like for some people not like, and this is why tracking is so important because you can't reflect if you don't know where you've been all year. And I feel like a lot
Mhm.
of people do that. And we like, Alysha and I advocate this all the time. And it's part of the reason we love our color coded pens and our colorful stuff. But like, we love tracking shit, whether, whatever it is, because how are you going to know that like you're doing better or you've done better, you know? And a lot of people use apps as well, right? So like, there's literally an app for everything. How are you going to know whether to reflect? And I feel like, and that's why, and as much as like it sucks that people wait for this like December to hit, and then they have that January syndrome where they're like, okay, I'm going to start in the new year and I'm going to be better in the new year. And I do believe in like not waiting for the new year and like starting now in the moment. But I do feel like December really hits when it's like you track what you've done this last year. And I do feel like it helps set new goals for the new year. So, you know, I am somebody who like makes my calendar kind of like from January to December, and I would set new goals. But like for someone like you, like now you'll probably have like your January calendars and like how many steps you want to achieve next year and stuff like that. So that's why like the tracking is so important. And it's like so important to reflect because if you don't know where you are, like how are you going to know where you're going? I actually don't know how people don't like track their life.
I know. As I'm getting older, I don't know how people even remember the things they need to do, right? Like, how do you not know
Yeah.
without writing it
Yeah.
down? Like, and then people forget everything. But it's like, I don't know. Like, but also, can I be honest? I'm someone who has a lot of lists. And I think my biggest problem is I don't keep it in one book because I'm going from home to work. So I don't have just one office. And some days I'm not at work. So I leave one at work and then I leave one here. And then there's one I carry with me all the time. And I
Yeah.
think my problem is sometimes I have too many lists and I
Mm.
can't find them. So, like, that's my biggest thing. My thing is like, fuck, I made a list on Monday and by Thursday I find the list and it's like, what the fuck? So that's my biggest issue. And that's something I need to work on in the next couple months is finding a proper way that like I'm gonna be like, okay, this is my list, and this is the list I'm just gonna continuously use throughout the week and not make
Yeah.
another one. And I think it was you who gave me the idea of the two-sided
I bought you
like
the book. It's still sitting in my
oh,
room waiting for you.
okay. That's what it is. Yeah. So that I feel like will be game changer because then I can do work on one side and personal on the
Yeah.
other. Because that's the problem right now.
Okay, everyone. So there's this notebook that I use from Staples. What is it called?
I forget. Like
A
double
Kino
lined?
notebook? No, no. You know what? I'm gonna just walk up right here because it's right here. It has like a specific name I remember. Okay. Oh, it's called one of those Steno books, like
Steno.
Steno. I might not be saying that right, but so basically this book has like a line down the middle, and then if you're somebody who like also, and you know what? And here's another thing: people always make a list for their work stuff, but it's like, why don't you make a list for your personal stuff you need to do? Like even if it's like I want to fold laundry when I get home, or like, you know, I want to like, I put walking on my to do list because I feel like if I don't put walking on my to do list, then I won't try to achieve it because then I won't try to cross it off the list kind of thing. So
Yeah.
I put like personal shit on there too.
Yeah.
And like today I had put away laundry on it. So on one side I have like my work list, and then on one side I have like my personal list. And I feel like, and because it's like, yeah, you don't know where you're going the next day kind of thing. So anything that doesn't get crossed off basically makes it to like the next day's list. So it gets carried over. Um, but you know what your story reminded me of? So
What?
Sister Karen. Okay, and I think this is all us women. Like, I don't think it's just her. You and I had the same experience when we went to like Winners. Okay, so Alicia and I are at where were we? The Winners Home Sense,
Yeah.
and we're in that aisle that like had all the cute books and the calendars and like all those cute stuff. Like, I swear to God, Alicia and I were like ready to buy five. Like, there were so many, and I feel like us women have this problem because there's just so many cute notebooks. It's like, how do you pick one?
Yeah.
And Sister Karen has this problem where she like came home with like four notebooks, or like she'll
Oh,
come home with like a
shit.
new notebook. She's like, oh, well, this notebook is like for my like work stuff, and this notebook is for like this, and then this notebook is for this. So this year, like, I punked her. And then because she came home with like a bunch of notebooks again. And I was like, because she couldn't keep track of like using three different books. So it's hard, right? Like, you kind of like keeping track in one book is hard enough. So how the hell are you going to keep track in three? So she wasn't
Exactly.
able to like keep up with them. And then I punked her this year. I'm like, it's because you had fucking like 10 million notebooks. And yes, they're cute. I get it. Like, they're cute. We want them. And, you always see the next notebook and you're like, oh, I might need that to make notes or whatever. But probably like start off with one notebook, and like, if you can kind of handle that, then maybe you could move up to two notebooks, but like one is hard enough. So
Yeah, definitely one is
no
hard
promises
enough.
made. I don't know. She might still have like a bunch of notebooks. I'm not even gonna lie.
Uh, can't resist a cute freaking notebook. It's true. And then when they have all this stuff in there and you're like, "Oh, it's gonna make my life better."
I know. Like, I have my like to-do list, kind of like my notebook that I have my whatever, like everyday notes that I use, like that Steno book. But my goals book, okay, so this is like this little, it's like, I don't, it's like a little book that would fit in your like pocket, right? Like your back
Oh.
pocket. So it's this little book. And the only reason I still put my goals in that one is because I started writing that. I think it goes back as far as like 2010.
Holy, that's
Yeah, it
almost
goes.
11 years ago.
Yeah, I know. I thought it was like 2020 right now. I was going to say 10 years. But yeah, that notebook goes, and that's the only reason I'm still using that one when it comes to like my yearly goals, because, and it comes out like, once a year, twice a year. Like, it basically stays in my drawer. But only because it goes back so far that like when it's that time of the year, and like I'm going to talk about this eventually because it really excites me, but like when it's that time of the year where I have to sit down and like reflect on my, how my year was, and then what goals do I want to accomplish the next year. Like, now I look back and I'm like, I look back and I have notes from like 2010 and 2011 until now. So it's like, even like when it comes to like reflecting, it also helps me see how my goals have improved throughout the year. Like, from what my goals were from back in 2010, which is probably like, get an A in like this class, and like, just pass this class, like whatever it was back then. Like, those were what my goals were back then, right? Like, I was still in school. Um, and like how different they are now. And I just love seeing that and like reflecting on that. And it just like makes me proud.
Yeah, no, definitely. I think that's phenomenal that you still have it. Like, to know that, like, what you were thinking about 10 years ago and how much you
Yeah.
progressed, that's real progression. Like, that's really seeing where you started and where you are today. So I think that's amazing that you've held on to the same thing. And it's obviously kept you going for whatever reason. And maybe it's because every time you look on the past years, you're like, oh, like, look at how far I've come. And that's what probably keeps
Mhm.
you motivated and keeps you going.
And what the amazing thing is that some goals take years to accomplish, right? Like, sometimes we
Hmm.
want to accomplish them that year, but some things takes a long time to build. So, like, for example, I've been putting buy a property, like, or an investment property on my goals list, probably, I want to say 4 or 5 years before it even happened. But like,
Wow.
I could, yeah, like I just always thought, I'm like, I'm gonna be able to afford it. Like, something magical is gonna happen and I'm gonna be able to afford it. Like, this is what I want. Like, I was just putting it out there, right? I was like, this is what I want. Year after year, it did not happen. Um, but now that it has, I look back and I'm like, I had it on my goals list for so many years before it happened. And then sometimes things take time, and then you get to see like, okay, you know what? It took me time, but like it happened. And I think that's why it's so important to like write things down and not like throw away these kind of lists and stuff like that. Because you know how like when sometimes people, like I've heard stories that people will like I heard the story like once upon a time ago. I think it was like in a law of attraction video, and it was like somebody who moved into a house, found like an old box of theirs with their like vision board and blah blah blah, and found a picture of the house that they now live in. And
What
it's
the
like,
heck?
yeah, it's like manifesting your reality. And I feel like, you know, things take time. And it's like, that's why it's like important to keep these things around, because it's like, yeah, you might have not achieved it this year or the next year or the next year. But it's like when you do, you're going to look back and be like, yeah, I've wanted this for a really long time.
It's true. It's so freaking true.
Yeah. And that's why it's so
Yeah.
important to reflect and like see where you are now. And I feel like in order to see where you want to go, you need to see where you are now and like what did you do in this last year to get here? Because if you reflect back and you're like, okay, I legit did nothing this year to like progress or improve my state from last year to this year, then yeah, it's like it's hard to move forward.
It is, yeah. No, I couldn't agree more with you. It's kind of like vision boards too, right? At the end of the year, you
Mhm.
look at them and then you change, or you're like, what worked for me? What didn't? What do I really want? And it's like adding that in January or February to like, okay, no, I think this works better for me. This is where my vision is. And this is what I really, really do want.
Yeah, absolutely. And then also reflecting on like, I feel like another thing important that people don't like think about reflecting on is like, have you been a good person kind of thing? Like, you know, like, have I been a
Hmm.
bitch this year? Or like, have I been a nicer person? Or like, did I have more cranky moves this year? You know, like, did I lose friends for the better? Did I lose them for the worst? I feel like those are also like good reflections to have as well at the end of the year.
Yeah, definitely. I think it's good to know, like, kind of who do you see yourself as and what did you see yourself as and who's surrounded by you. That's a good point. Looking around and realizing during the holidays and even now, it's like, who's surrounded by me? Like, what traditions have I kept and what am I going to continue to keep or start too, right?
Yeah, and it's like, were these people added value to my life this year or not? Did it do more harm? Like, do I need to keep them around? Do I want to start my year off fresh without these people? So definitely good. Um, yeah,
Yeah. So I think, I hope this kind of helped you guys, like, kind of have an idea of how to start your December. If you're like overwhelmed with December and you're like, oh my God, it's the end of the year. Where did the time go? You know what? Make these next 31 days, 31, well, 30 days,
less than
including today.
officially less, but yes.
Yeah. 30 days count. Do something different for yourself every day this month. Like start that, manifestation, start the goals, start the vision, start like reflecting, self-reflecting, self-awareness and self-care. It's about you this month and about others. So make sure you make it count.
Yeah, 100%. Thank you so much, everyone, for listening. If you're not already following us on social media, follow us on Level Up with Raman and Alysha. And if you have any questions or topic suggestions that you want to make, you can email us at ramanandalisha@gmail.com.
Yes, friends. Thanks for listening.
Thank you. Have a great December. Bye.
Bye.